They said Ethan Cole had everything: a billion-dollar company, a name whispered with respect in every boardroom, and a mansion that stood like a palace on the hill overlooking the ocean. His face graced magazines, his signature moved markets, and his smile, carefully practiced, hid a loneliness that money could never mend. Every evening, as the city's lights shimmered below his glass balcony, Ethan sat alone. The wind off the ocean brushed against his face, whispering a question he couldn't answer. Why did having everything feel like having nothing at all? Because in all the parties, deals, and success, he had never found love. Not the kind that saw him for who he was, but for what he had. It had started years ago, when Ethan first tasted wealth. Every woman he met seemed perfect, beautiful, charming, and eager to be by his side. But sooner or later, the same pattern revealed itself. "I just love how powerful you are, Ethan," she said, running her hand along the leather of his car. "Promise you'll take me to Paris next time?" Another giggled, her eyes already on the diamond bracelet in the display window. At first he ignored the signs. He wanted to believe in the fairy tale, but it always ended the same way: shallow love, loud drama, and a loneliness that grew louder each night. He once overheard a woman he'd dated for months say to her friend on the phone, "Of course I love him. Who wouldn't love a billionaire?" That sentence broke something in him. Because she hadn't said she loved Ethan. She loved the billionaire. Years passed. Success grew, but so did the silence in his home. Ethan's mansion, a masterpiece of marble and glass, felt more like a museum than a place to live. Every room was filled with expensive art, yet none carried warmth. The dining table could seat 20, but no one ever joined him. One night, after another business gala where laughter felt fake and smiles felt rehearsed, Ethan walked into his study, loosened his tie, and sat before his piano, the same one his late mother had taught him to play on. He ran his fingers softly across the keys and whispered, "Mom, why is love so hard to find?" The notes echoed across the empty hallways, but no answer came. Just the echo of his own longing. The next morning, Ethan made a decision. He wanted to escape, even for a day. No bodyguards, no designer suits, no fame. He pulled on an old hoodie, jeans, and a baseball cap, slipped quietly, and drove himself downtown. For the first time in years, he felt invisible, free. He walked past crowded sidewalks, street vendors, and laughter that didn't come from champagne glasses. Then he found it. A small cafe tucked between an old bookstore and a flower shop. It smelled of rain, cinnamon, and something pure. He walked in and took a seat by the window. "Good morning," a cheerful voice said. He looked up. She was there. Her name tag read Maya. She wasn't glamorous in the way society defined it. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, her apron smudged with flour, but her smile, it was real. "What can I get you?" she asked. He smiled back, unsure why he suddenly felt nervous. "Just coffee, black." "You look tired," she said kindly as she poured it. He laughed softly. "Long day." Maya laughed softly. "You're too young to sound that old." That laugh, it wasn't flirtatious or calculated, it was genuine, and it warmed something deep inside him that he didn't even know had gone cold. He came back the next day, and the next, and the next. Days turned to weeks. Every morning he'd come in just to see her smile. Sometimes they talked for hours about life, dreams, disappointments, and everything that made them human. She never asked what he did for a living, and he never told her. He wasn't Ethan Cole, the billionaire in that cafe. He was just Ethan. He learned that Maya worked 2 jobs to support her younger brother, who was studying art. She loved books, hated fake people, and dreamed of opening her own cafe someday, one where everyone could feel like family. One morning, as sunlight streamed through the window, Ethan asked softly, "Do you ever wish you had more?" Maya smiled. "Of course, but sometimes more is the reason people lose what really matters." That sentence struck him harder than any business deal ever had. For weeks, Ethan lived 2 lives. The world still saw the billionaire attending board meetings and signing million-dollar contracts, but his heart now belonged to a little cafe on Rosewood Street. He didn't realize that secrets have a way of finding their light. One evening, Maya was scrolling through her phone during her break when she froze. A news article flashed across her screen. "Ethan Cole, billionaire CEO, spotted downtown. Fans say he looked unrecognizable." She stared at the photo. Ethan, in that same hoodie, holding a cup of coffee. Her hands trembled. The man who'd shared stories of loneliness and dreams wasn't a struggling soul like her. He was one of the richest men in the country. Her chest tightened. Why didn't he tell me? Was she just another experiment to him? The next morning, Ethan arrived with his usual smile, but Maya wasn't behind the counter. She came out from the back room, her expression cold. "Hey, she began. "You're Ethan Cole, the billionaire." Ethan's face fell. "Maya, I was going to tell you, You lied to me," she whispered. "All this time you pretended to be someone else. Why? Did you want to see how the poor people live?" "No, I wanted someone to see me, not my money." Maya shook her head. "Then you should have trusted me to do that. You didn't have to hide who you are." The hurt in her eyes pierced deeper than any rejection she'd ever known. Before he could say another word, she walked away. And just like that, she was gone. The mansion felt heavier than ever that night. He stood in the same hallway where his laughter used to echo during parties and realized how empty it sounded without her. He tried to bury himself in work again, meetings, conferences, awards, but none of it filled the void. He could buy the world, yet he couldn't buy back the only heart that mattered. He stopped visiting the cafe, stopped playing the piano. For weeks, he moved like a ghost through his own life. But one morning, while sorting through mail, a small envelope caught his eye. It was from the Sunrise Orphanage, a charity his company had quietly supported for years. They were hosting a volunteer event. Without thinking, he decided to go. Children laughed as he arrived. The sound lifted something heavy off his heart. Volunteers painted faces, served food, and played games. And then, through the crowd, he saw her. Maya. She was kneeling beside a little girl, painting a butterfly on her cheek. Her laughter was just as warm as he remembered. Their eyes met. For a moment, the world stopped. Ethan walked slowly. "I didn't expect to see you here," he said softly. Maya smiled faintly. "Maybe life wanted you to." He paused. "I missed you." She looked away. "I missed the person you were when you were honest." Ethan's eyes softened. "That's the person I'm trying to be, Maya. I lost sight of what mattered. I wanted love so badly I hid the truth, but that's not love, that's fear." Maya studied his face for a moment. Then she handed a paintbrush to a child and stood. "Then prove it," she said. "Not with money, with time, with heart." And he did. Ethan began spending his weekends at the orphanage, reading stories to kids, fixing broken furniture, and quietly funding new classrooms without attaching his name. Not for attention, not for forgiveness, but because for the first time, He wanted to give from the heart, not the wallet. Maya watched him from afar. The man who once measured life in profits now measured it in smiles. Slowly, trust began to bloom again between them. Soft, patient, real. One evening, after everyone had gone home, Ethan found her sitting on the steps, watching the sunset paint the sky in gold. He sat beside her. "Do you believe people can change?" he asked. She smiled gently. "Only if they stop pretending to be someone else." He turned to her. "Then I guess I have." Their hands brushed. Neither pulled away. Months passed. Their bond grew stronger, not through gifts, but through moments. Simple things, shared laughter, late-night walks, helping with homework, or sitting quietly and watching the waves. Ethan had never felt lighter. One evening, standing under the orange glow of the setting sun, he turned to Maya. His heart pounded, not with fear this time, but peace. "I spent my life building empires," he said softly, "but none of it means anything without someone to share it with. I can't promise perfection, Maya, but I can promise honesty and love that's real." She looked into his eyes and whispered, "That's all I ever wanted." He didn't propose with diamonds or flash. He simply took her hand, and she didn't let go. Years later, the mansion on the hill no longer echoed with silence. Children's laughter filled its halls. The orphanage kids visiting every weekend. Maya's cafe had finally opened, with Ethan's quiet support, but her name on the sign. And every evening, Ethan played the same piano where he once whispered to his mother. Only now, Maya would sing along, and the notes no longer sounded lonely. He had learned what the world never told him. Love isn't found in luxury. It's found in the courage to be known and loved just as you are. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more stories.